Well, what's up, good-looking stud muffins? I gotta tell you, I'm killing it in the speculation game right now. I'm absolutely freaking killing it because, you know, I think investing is dead. I really do. Along with America and the entire idea of America, I think it's over. But speculation has only just begun. It's like, what are these absolutely idiotic political elites gonna do next? Well, one thing that I've been speculating on is avocado. So if you guys watch some of my Food Forward stuff, you guys know I'm pretty bullish on the avocado situation. I'll link to the article below, but Zero Hedge just posted. Our USDA has banned the sale of Mexican avocados in the US. Avocado game going up. So anyway, I think it's funny because there's no reason to be doing this, but you know, political elite's gonna do what they gotta do. They got Agenda 30. I'm on board with Agenda 30. It's like, it makes sense to me that it's not gonna work. First of all, I don't think it's gonna work, but you know, they're gonna try it for sure. And who am I to go against it? I'm gonna play the hand I got dealt. I'm gonna play it. And I think you should too. So anyway, my avocado speculation started my position about a year ago. Just got frosted back. I got toasted back pretty hardcore this year, but I'm in the game, in the avocado game. And one little random little quick fact on it before I give you like what my next speculation is going to be here. And I'm really liking my next speculation though. This one I'm taking a lot more seriously. I'm doing all my data, all my research. But avocado is 1 in 10,000. They say if you grow from a seed is something that you would prefer to eat, something you would like to eat. Most of them kind of like crab apples. You don't really like them. So what people do is they graft a known variety onto rootstock. So you see the people in the office cubicles and they got their little water cup and their little avocado seed and it turns into a little tree and stuff. Typically you just cut a piece of a good one off and you weld it on, basically. You just kind of merge it in there, tape it up, and it heals and becomes a grafted tree. And it basically gives you like a known variety, so you know what the fruit will be. Anyway, I've collected those in the last year or so at about $50 to $100 a pop. I've been going around and just like anytime I find a random variety, I've been collecting it, and then building rootstock to be able to multiply my rootstock and expand out. And so I'm super bullish on this, being that avocados take 7 to 10 years to fruit, and 1 in 10,000 is something that you would want to eat. And the fact that my U.S. political absolutely idiotic elites are helping me. So I'm just going to play the hand I got dealt here, and I'm just going to be doing the avocado spec. But here's my next speculation. And this is a little bit more calculated, a little bit more, well, let's just get right into it. Let's just get right into it. I think silver is going to the actual moon. I mean, I think it's just gonna freaking rip. Now, it's unloved. Nobody likes it. Everybody's on the crypto thing right now. I like the crypto thing. But silver is just a classic supply and demand problem. And here's what I mean by it. Sir Isaac Newton, apple falls from the tree, guy discovers gravity, the whole thing, that's him. He speculates or calculates that the ratio of silver to gold in the Earth's crust is somewhere between 1 in 12 and 1 in 15. Turns out modern day scientists believe that as well, so he was exactly right on that. Now, the mining ratio has dropped to 1 to 7. Last year it was 1 to 8. And so the selling ratio in US dollars is 1 to 80, meaning if you have an ounce of gold, you can get 80 pieces of silver in exchange for it of equal weight. And so essentially what I'm saying is that between the mining ratio being 1 to 7, 1 to 8, and the paper ratio being 1 to 80, there's about a 10 to 11x differentiation, gap, delta, if you will, of value there. So either one, gold is way overpriced and silver is properly priced, or silver is underpriced. I think silver is underpriced. Now, some people be like, well, that's because JP Morgan manipulates the silver market, this and that. Like, good, right? Because it lets me buy it at a cheaper price. So here's my speculation. I have learned in the last couple of years, it took me a minute to understand this, but I have learned what it means to have leverage on the silver price by buying the producers. Let me unpack that. If you are a silver mine, dude on the YouTube video comments, silver mine guy. So, our comment guy has a mine. and he's got 1,000 ounces in the ground, and the silver price is $20, and it costs him $10 to mine that out of the ground. Well, there's a couple things happening here. One, the cash flow part. On 1,000 ounces of silver mined, the guy is making $20,000 at a cost of $10,000. So there's one thing on the cash flow spec. If the price of silver goes 5x, it goes to $100, up from 20 to 100. Well, his costs stay about the same. Still costs him 1,000 to mine it, but instead of selling it for 2,000, now he's selling it for 10,000. So his profit goes from 1,000 to 9,000. So the price of silver goes up 5, but the price of the miner, or the cash flows of the miner, go up by 9. So by having leverage to the silver price would be having leverage in the miners. Likewise with his balance sheet. If he has 1,000 ounces in the ground, we could refer to it as a vault. And if he's got 1,000 ounces at $20, he's got $20,000 of value. But if the price goes to $100, again, now he has $100,000. His balance sheet increases by 5. His cash flows increase by 9, but his balance sheet increases by 5 with the silver price. So my speculation here is that silver is going to be the last thing to run. And I'm looking at the data from 1970 to 1982. And then I'm looking at the second bull run in silver in modern times from 2000, right at the end of the dot-com bust, to 2011. So the first run was a 10-year period, really 1980. We could bring it to 1982. That's when the Dow to gold ratio was last 1-to-1. There's another interesting speculation. And so my spec here is that we are in a period starting in 2016, I believe is the current one. We could expect to see this go for a 10-year run. That would bring us to 2026. From history, most of the run has been in the last 10% of the game. But my spec here is that silver is going to at least meet its old all-time high, which means it's going to go from its current price of 23 up to 50. But I think it's going to go to probably closer. I mean, it sounds insane to say out loud, but I see a world where gold is 10,000 an ounce and silver is 1 to 10. Like it's crazy, but that's 1,000 ounce silver. But I'm running my numbers on like 50 to 100 ounce silver. And so my spec here is I'm just going to buy 2 or 3 miners, nothing fancy, that give me the most amount of exposure to silver. And I'm just going to buy the crap out of them. And I'm going to pray and hope that we get a 30 or 50% drop like the other markets, the other runs. So what we saw from 1970 to 1980, 82 is we saw right there around 74, 76, one of those years, where the price basically dropped by 50%. So it was going up from 1970, goes up, drops and corrects, the gold price rather, corrects by 50%. And then from there, it does like a 4 or 5x on out. I'm actually putting together the charts this afternoon, so I'll have my data like more memorized by this evening. So we see that again in 2000, in the 2000 run. We see it go up just a little bit. 2007, it's around $6. 2008, it gets knocked down in the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis there, and then it goes all the way to $50 from there. It does so from 2008 to 2011, in that 11-year run, it ran the most. I think it's going to be the same this round. And so being that right now it's February 2022, I should be early. I'm not super early because we're already 4 years, 6 years into this thing, into this like current run, 5-6 years in. So I'm not early, but I'm definitely here before halftime. And I'm looking at what the miners did, the larger miners, and just, give you some name drops here. I'm looking at First Majestic. I think that's going to be pretty much my favorite. I've been watching First Majestic for about a year and a half now. I thought the price was too rich. I didn't like the price to earnings ratio. Previously, it was like 1 to 60. I was like, ooh, that's rich. It's since corrected a little bit. I don't love the earnings ratio now, but I love that Keith Neumeyer is at the helm of this thing. It's a $2 billion company, give or take, so it's like a mid cap. So I know that there'd be more, more play on the smaller cap, but there'd be more risk. And I'm trying to take a big slug out of the middle. I don't need to maximize my play here. I think I just need to buy the ones where when people become tuned into silver, when these big mutual funds, when these big endowment funds, sovereign wealth funds start to realize that U.S. bonds are giving you 2.5% interest, and the Fed currently says that the inflation is 7.5% interest. So what they're telling you is that they are guaranteeing you they will lose 5% of your purchasing power per year. I think eventually those trillions, and I mean trillions of dollars in funds, will run out of those assets. The Fed will just print the money to buy the assets, because whatever. And then they will run into precious metals positions, whether they buy the physical and increase the price, or they buy the miners. And I think that the miners that they're going to buy, the one that gives you the most exposure to it would be First Majestic. The other one that I like, being that, you know, Doug Casey's 9Ps, which is like the number one, is people. You got to have a Ross Beatty play in there. And Ross Beatty is he's like an alpha dog in there. And in the gold and silver mining world, Ross Beatty is really world class. And he's got Pan American silver. They only mine about 35% of their revenue comes from silver. A lot of it comes from other types of metals. But it's still a pretty good play, being that they've got two really fat deposits that are they've got nice sized mines. They've got really, really nice sized mines, and they just paid great prices. Without going down that rabbit hole, I think that I could play this by literally just playing First Majestic, and I think that First Majestic is going to give me like at least a 10x, selling from a $10 or $11 today. I think it's going to give me at least a 10x. But if things get crazy in the last inning of this event, 2026, 2027, could be even later than that, but based on other bull runs, 90% of the move happens in the last 10% of the game. Easily be a 40x play. And if I run my math backwards as far as where I want to be a decade from today, I don't think, given this amazing opportunity, being that silver is completely unloved, the price is 50% of its all-time high. If we were to adjust it based on its 1980 all-time high in current dollars, according to the Fed's inflation numbers, it would have went to $671 in 1980 in today's dollars. So I don't think it's insane to think that we're going to have $100 silver, which means that, the price will 4x from here, but the miners will likely do a 3x on top of that, maybe even more, if people pile in, if these big institutions and stuff look for what's investable. And that's why I like the mid caps, because a $2 billion company is a very investable company. If you're running a fund for Geico Insurance or some large entity, and you tell your boss, hey, I want to get some precious metal exposure, he's going to tell you, I want it to be a $2 or $3 billion market cap company or higher. I don't want to be in, a $50 million thing. I want to be in an established entity here. So I think that you could see First Majestic easily be a $10 billion company. It's a 5x. I don't think it's unlikely that it could be a $50 billion company. And I don't think that it would make a lot of sense. Well, depends on the price of silver, I suppose. But the fact that it could be a $100 billion company or something like that, it just seems obvious to me. And does it pull like a Tesla, like in the last run? Does it go from $5 forever, $5 to $100, but then $100 to $1,200, and that 1 year, 2 year period? I could see it. That's kind of the world we live in. And if the narrative gets hot enough, yeah, I could totally see that happening. But my point here is I think that that's going to be my play for this decade, where I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, there's crypto. I mean, is there going to be $1 million Bitcoin? I think so, right? That's a 20x move from where it sits right now. Buy it on the dips when it hits there, buy it on the dips. But what's a guarantee to me? That's still a speculation, but somewhat of a guarantee. $50 silver seems absolutely guaranteed. $100 silver seems underpriced. $600 silver seems high and laughable at the moment. $1,000 silver, based on the mining ratio of 1 to 7, seems reasonable, but it seems laughable and embarrassing to say out loud. But I don't think it's unlikely. I've said this before. People laugh all the time. I don't think it's unlikely. Well, if that's the case, then you're talking about an asset that goes up by 40x in price. What do the miners do? They go up 120, 150x in price. So let's work back our number. What's your nut? What are you trying to get to? For me, at the end of this decade, I would like to make 4 mil. Let's put it that way. Like, I would like to make 4 mil. I'd like to roll it into some coal or some sort of like really boring investment moving forward that no one loves, that pays a good fat dividend of 10% a year. So what I'm getting at is, if I can make a nut between my efforts now and over this course of this decade to make an additional 4 million to my net worth, that 4 million invested at 10% is going to give me 400,000 a year, which is going to replace my income more than replace my current income. And essentially it would allow me in my early 40s to be done, which means as a younger guy and an entrepreneurial minded, investing minded guy, I can invest in what I want to, and I can do the companies that I want to do because I want to do them for fun, not because I'm doing them to make money. So I'm just talking out loud through here. And I know a lot of you guys are interested in this. I DM with a lot of you guys on Instagram. I will always get back to DMs. I use it as like an email platform. I don't post a lot on Instagram. I do Instagram stories all the time because it's like, in a way, it's non-censored for now. And so I talk about this stuff on Instagram, and you can follow me there and DM with me there because it's the best way to get in touch. But this is my speculation, and I literally don't think it's going to take more than First Majestic and Pan American Silver. Maybe throw a gold miner in there if I want, but gold's gonna move, but it's not gonna move like silver. I might throw some options when it does start to move. Like, I might throw some options on top of these stocks. But I really think that if I look at my nut, I need to make about 125. I need to take 125 grand off the table in cash, in today's cash, and plow it into those two vehicles. And I think that I'll make my 3 or 4 mil that I want to make. And then I'll roll out of that and into investment properties at 10%. Coal stocks, I'm just throwing it out there because it'll be super unloved by then, but they'll have, I mean, these companies are all coming out of bankruptcy right now. They have like no debt, no competitors showing up. And if you think that the world is going to, go completely net carbon neutral, I mean, I think that's a great idea, but I don't think it's going to happen. And so I think the price of coal is going to rip through the roof. But that's a longer term thing. I don't think it's going to happen like today. But anyway, I'm just, I'm going to put together the math on this and really, really study it. So future videos, I will have my numbers memorized. But I think that the play here is I am just sure by the math, like just looking at the math. And hopefully I'm 2 years early, maybe even 3 years early, but I'm somewhat late to the party. I mean, I've already built a nice silver position already, but like I want to get leverage on top of that position. I'm speaking about this because the best way to have freedom in a 2030 world is going to literally be just have wealth. Like, just have wealth. So you have options. Like I don't think like in 2030 I'm going to. I don't even know if I'm going to be allowed to fly in airlines, like without being fully, like a pastured cow. like excuse me, sir, do you have your brand and your current, medical status? Like I think it's going to be very much like cattle. And I already hate flying commercially anyway. And what I'm getting at is like I just have the writing is on the wall. I'm gonna have to fly private everywhere I go, but like getting out of the system and like having the lifestyle I want to have and not being able to sell the companies I have off now and not care. I need to have a 40x speculation on 125 grand. I mean, I could be undershooting it. It might only be 20x, so maybe I'll plow in 300, 350, 400. Maybe by the end of the decade, maybe it wouldn't be unrealistic to plow in a mill, like on my current earnings minus like what I make minus what I spend. Wouldn't be unreasonable, but catching it right now with 100, 125, probably going to give me more upside than catching it 4 or 5 years from now with 500 or 600,000. So anyway, I just bring this to your attention because these speculations I don't think are going to stop. It's like the avocado speculation. I don't think that this craziness is going to stop. I think that you just have to get ahead of the curve and go like, where's the most amount of value and how do I play it? How do I get leverage to it? And I think that the way that I'm going to play the silver game, besides my physical holdings, which I think are very, very important, and I'm huge on having a good sized position in physical holdings. I'm huge on that. I mean, I became a broker in that just to do that. I'll put my email below, send me an email if you're interested in getting that. And getting physical, but getting leverage to the price exposure, I think that might be the way to go. So anyway, until next video, thank you for your comments below. I'll get back to all of them. Thank you for liking this video, maybe sending it to one person that might need to see it. And until next video, I will be down there in the comments. Peace.